doing Raid Finder, and I'll be honest, like that sounds terrible. It sounds absolutely terrible. Because there's like no tanks who are looking to do any of this. Like even still, like the faded raids and stuff, like it's been so difficult for me to find a guild that actually will like let new players into raids. I don't know why. I don't know why everybody has this big old exclusive thing. Like when you're in a guild, it's like, no, sorry, we're not going to let any new people join our raid. Or it's like we have our static and we're not letting anybody in. It's happened so often, and it's like, as somebody who like I've never done the Raider IO, I've never done any shit like that. I feel like if I need an add-on besides like, you know, DBM, damage meter just to make sure you're not falling behind, DBM or big wigs, whatever it is, that's letting you know like, hey, some dangerous shit's going on. I already hate the fact I have to use add-ons in this game to begin with, but to have an additional add-on that lets people inspect me and then say, no, you haven't done it. You don't have experience. This is supposed to be a fucking video game. Like, why the fuck? Like, I'm not queuing or pugging for a mythic raid. It's a fucking normal raid. Like, it's not that hard. It is not that hard. They have everything in the fucking book. 3-4 wipes, you got it. Even with the most mouth-breathing party you've got. Like, I completely disagrey with that idea behind it. Because, like, I've legitimately been playing this game since, I think it was Fall of the Lich King is the name of the patch, but it's literally the one before, like, the dragons and shit. Like, it was one patch, maybe two, before the Cataclysm pre-patch. That's all I remember is when I started playing this game. And to this day, I have yet to actually go through and fully complete current content raid outside of LFR. Because I've server hopped, I've jumped back and forth, I've looked on the forums, I've tried, and like it's just that's how it's happened for me. So I'm like, basically raiding is something that I have already resigned myself, it's never gonna fucking happen. Like, I have joined a raid on fuck, this was in Cataclysm, but like I joined a raid in Cataclysm on my my prop pally, who was just barely geared up for like the heroic dungeons. Like we were doing the troll dungeons or whatever that were going on, and they were gearing up for Firelands. And I'm like, can I go? And I essentially was on my fucking knees begging them to go, because my SO at the time was already in the raid with their arcane mage, and then our friend was in the raid already with a resto druid. And the guild had been pumping those two up because resto druids and arcane mages were fucking slapping in Kata, at least for PvE. And they basically took me out of pity because they already had like all the tanks and everything that they wanted. And I'm like, I literally don't have another spec. Like, this is all the fucking gear that I have. And I could not pay somebody in that guild to actually take me through heroic. So I had to pug. I had to beg on the fucking street corner like a hobo to get a fucking dungeon group as a tank. So that really like fucking expresses like how frustrating it was. So I go through all of that shit. We get into Firelands, wait for about a half hour or so, and then while we were going through it, or like getting everybody raid buffed and whatever, they were explaining all the mechanics of everything that was going on, and I'm like, okay, you know, like that's not too bad, like explaining how the trash is gonna work, which is like, you know, I'm like, what? We go walking up, and if you remember, like the very first pull was that giant golem thing, and they're like, all right, you know, I'll just, you know, like, all right, pizza, go, like, you're ready, go. I'm like, okay. I run up, I throw a judgment at the trash mob. Nobody ran with me. Nobody. And that is with my SO at the time in the same room as me and our friend in the same room. Like, we were doing a LAN party that night. And nobody ran up with me. Everybody was completely quiet on voice comms. I didn't realize it. But I go running up and I start hitting that enemy. And nobody ran and backed me up. I had to blow every one of my fucking cooldowns just to stay alive for probably about 10 seconds. And it killed me. To which I had to sit there and vent. And where is everyone? Come on, guys, what's going on? Like, help, help. And I died. To which everybody, raid leader, guild master, both my SO and my friend, everybody in the whole fucking raid party just started laughing their ass off, and I was immediately booted from the raid. And then the guild. To which those two, which, you know, I'm no longer with her, don't worry about it. And that friend is dead to me. So, yeah, they ended up going through and completing it that night. And I thought it was just like a hazing thing, like a haha. But it was like, no, like, actually, like, you're dead? Don't ever fucking ask us if you can come in here again. We have who we want. Don't ever try it again. And from that point on, I just kind of, you know, had a bit of a phobia, like, when it comes to raiding, because I'm like, you know, who's gonna do that shit again? And literally, it's like every single time it's been self-fulfilling prophecy. Every fucking time I've showed up. And it's like, I don't understand how it is that, like, I get that you want, like, you know, the best in slot people to show up and just call it, you know, make it easy mode, of course. Who doesn't? But to me, I've experienced that behavior so much that, like, I have completely given up on endgame content except for random battlegrounds and potentially Mythic Plus, but only up to, like, +5.